Hello, welcome to another weekly update. And the first thing that happened this week was the the rollover to the 1st of July. And if you're an MVP, then the 1st of July is an important date for you now because this is where they are all annually renewed. So congratulations to all renewing MVPs. Congratulations to anyone new who's becoming an MVP for the first time. I was renewed this year, I'm glad to say. It's always slightly nervous around this time, but luckily, yeah, I was renewed, so I'm very grateful about that. Very excited for the year ahead, and just a big thank you really to the whole kind of community. So let's talk about the first thing on my list. So I did a blog post earlier this week around bot framework and people using the bot builder SDK to build out their bots. If you've been doing this for a while, then you may be on an old version. If you've started taking the templates when they first became available, and you've just kind of kept them on your computer and you're using them in Visual Studio when you do file new project, it may be that you are creating kind of older versions. And if you have any code that is using anything prior to version 3.5 of Bot Builder, then there is a deadline of the end of July this year to stop using them, because if you don't do that, then your bots will stop working. They won't communicate with the bot framework correctly. So you'll know that there's a couple of different ways to work out if you're affected. The easiest way by far is just to log in to the bot framework dashboard. And if you do that, then if you see a red bar across the top, then you know that one or more of your bots is using the older SDK. And that's quite a good way to just make sure that all your bots are up to date. The other thing you can do is go and look at the DLL in your project, and you can do that to see what version you're on. So 3.5 is going to become, from the end of July, the lowest supported version. To upgrade your bots, by far and away the easiest way to do that is to use NuGet. So in that blog post, I've gone through those steps and done a little video as well, so you can see that. Yeah, so just make sure, because it is a breaking change, your bots will stop working if you don't upgrade by the end of July. All right, I'm going to try and keep it kind of short this week, I think. There's not been that many new announcements coming out of Microsoft. So Inspire is next week. It might be that some announcements come out of that. It might be they're kind of holding up some announcements and going to release them around the Inspire timeframe. So we'll wait and see. That kicks off on Monday. So something interesting that I noticed, though, is that you can now use Skype for Business from within Yammer. So Yammer is Microsoft Social Enterprise. Think of it a bit like Facebook, but for enterprises. It was an acquisition from a few years ago, and it forms part of Microsoft's communication and collaboration strategy. It sits alongside and does a different workload to things like Skype for Business and Teams. So it's totally okay for an organization to be using Skype for Business and Teams and Yammer. They're slightly different workloads. They achieve slightly different things. But we're seeing more and more integration between those three applications, and this is one of those. So Yammer is entirely web-based. I mean, there are apps you can get for platforms, but primarily is accessed from yammer.com. When you go to yammer.com and you're using Yammer now, you may notice in the top next to your name, and you'll see alongside the little cog for settings and the little bell for notifications, there's a little Skype icon, and that's where you can access some Skype for Business functionality. Now, I think it's being rolled out to tenants at the moment. I'm not sure if all tenants currently have it. It doesn't look like we actually have it on our tenant at the moment. So maybe just give it a couple of weeks to roll out, or reach out to Microsoft to ask them to enable it for you. But there's a couple of things you can do there. So firstly, you can use it to search for contacts. So if there's a particular person you've seen something in Yammer and you want to start a conversation about it, then you can find that person, and you can then begin a conversation from that. You can also see your other active conversations and see how that's going, and join in and react to them, and start and stop conversations from there as well. So that's kind of interesting. It's interesting to see under the hood. I'm kind of guessing, because I don't really know, but my guess would be that it's kind of UCY based under the hood, which is really interesting because we're seeing more and more of these integrations being enabled by some of the tooling that Microsoft have put in place for Skype for Business over the past couple of years. This is just one of those, making that integration easier to do from web pages, and we're seeing Skype for Business being integrated in lots of these different places to really make it easier to communicate with people. So that's a good thing. That's exciting. It's worth keeping an eye on. And it's also worth knowing that this kind of integration, this way of taking Skype for Business functionality and embedding it inside applications so that it's just there when you need it, that's something you can do now. It's not something that's unique to Microsoft. It's not something that Microsoft can do just because they've got secret source code or anything. This is using publicly available APIs that anybody can do. So you can build this into your web page if you need to. So I thought that was interesting. And the only other thing I want to leave you with this week is a good collection of blogs and people that I think you would be interested in. So it's done by UC Geek, and it's a massive list of Skype for Business and Lync experts, and I imagine some Microsoft Teams experts in there as well. Some from Microsoft, many from the community, lots of MVPs in there, and it's a really comprehensive list of Twitter profiles, of blogs, and links to MVP status pages. So yeah, that's a good list if you're looking to kind of read more about Skype for Business, and not just development side, but some of the infrastructure side as well, looking to get into that a bit more, then that's a really good starting place for some excellent blogs. So that's pretty much it for this week. I will wish you a very happy weekend, and I hope you have a good week next week, and talk to you again next week.